How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to 2A News Now. And I really do appreciate you taking your time tuning into my video. An Oklahoma sheriff has opened up an investigation into an ATF SWAT raid on an FFL's home. When this happened, I made a video about it. And if by chance you didn't watch that video, I'll link it at the end of this video and also in the description below. Oklahoma's Pushmataha County Sheriff's Office has opened an investigation into the ATF for their recent SWAT raid of one of their county's most respected residents, whose name is Russell Fincher. According to PSCO Under Sheriff Dustin Bray, no one at the ATF warned the sheriff's office in advance that highly armed federal agents were conducting a SWAT raid. "We weren't apprised of anything," Bray said. He said they are a Second Amendment county and they're going to protect their citizens, and they're not going to enforce any gun law or rule that violates the Constitution. The sheriff does not yet know whether the investigation would yield criminal charges against ATF agents. He said that's a good one for the Attorney General. He said the thing he's looking at are more constitutional issues, not criminal, such as civil rights violations. The sheriff said his agency began a deep dive into ATF's conduct, but the investigation was put on hold because of an unrelated double homicide in the county, followed by 2 officer-involved shootings. The PSCO has around a dozen deputies who are responsible for patrolling a county of more than 1,400 square miles. Under Sheriff Bray, a 21-year law enforcement veteran who has been with the PCSO since 2018, was most concerned about ATF's apparent disregard for standard deconfliction protocols, which are commonplace among state, county, and local law enforcement agencies. The Commission on Accreditation for Law Enforcement Agencies defines confliction as the process for determining when law enforcement personnel are conducting an event in close proximity to one another at the same time. Events include law enforcement actions such as raids, undercover operations, surveillance, or executing search warrants. In other words, deconfliction prevents 2 groups of cops from showing up at the same location at the same time and pointing guns at each other. The ATF didn't do any deconfliction with Pushmataha County. We had no idea they were coming, and they didn't hear anything about it until weeks had passed. Nothing ever got reported to them. The sheriff said he's not a fan of that at all. And the sheriff is the chief law enforcement officer of the county. And it won't be any surprise to you guys when I say ATF Special Agent Theodore Mongol, who led the SWAT raid at Fincher's home, was unwilling to talk about deconfliction or the sheriff's office ongoing investigation. He said he couldn't give a comment at the time. He said this is a confidential investigation, a criminal investigation. Oklahoma State Representative Justin J.J. Humphrey sent a letter to Oklahoma's governor, attorney general, and other law enforcement officials demanding an investigation into the ATF raid on Fincher's home. Fincher is one of Humphrey's constituents, who was a part-time gun dealer, a history teacher, and a Baptist pastor. Humphrey said he was contacted by Mr. Fincher after a dozen ATF SWAT team members bearing automatic weapons raided Fincher's home, handcuffed him on the porch in front of his 13-year-old son, and coerced and threatened him into relinquishing his federal firearm license. Humphrey said in a press release, "If this report is true, and I have every reason to believe it is, that it would appear that ATF's actions constitute a gross misuse and abuse of their federal police powers." Humphrey wrote in a letter that Mr. Fincher is a distinguished member in his community, serving as a pastor and school teacher in the small community of Clayton, Oklahoma. He is known as a respected member of the community, and he has every reason to believe his account. If proven true, the actions of the ATF agents could be seen as a severe misuse and abuse of their federal law enforcement authority. Wouldn't it be awesome if the sheriff brought charges against the ATF agents in that raid? And I applaud the sheriff for having the backs of the citizens in his county and protecting their Second Amendment rights. As always, I would really like to hear your thoughts about the story in the comment section down below. And I appreciate everybody's support with the channel. You guys are always crushing it by liking, sharing, and subscribing and hitting those post notifications. And I invite everybody back to see my next video.